Hello, and welcome back to Sharks Happen. My name is Hal. I'm your host, going over shark attacks from the 1900s, still present, mostly large sharks, and we'll get started right away here. We're going to head over to Fowey Rock Light, which is in Miami, Florida. The date is June 24th, 1961. William Dandridge is 23 years old, and he is going out to do some scuba spear fishing with a friend of his. His friend is James Quillian, and James, his wife, and William all head out to the Fowey Rock Light to do this spear fishing. The two men enter the water at about 9:30 in the morning, about just after 9 o'clock, 9:15 in the morning. They're in 20 feet deep water and they submerge for about 10 minutes. And about 9:30, Dandridge pops to the top of the water and his mask is off his face, off to the side, and he's screaming for help. Mrs. Quillian turns to look, sees him dragged under. I don't think she saw the shark, but she saw him dragged under. That was after they were in the water for 10 minutes, another 5 minutes, and her husband came to the surface and she told him what had happened. He went ahead and went back down and looked around and could not locate his friends, so he came back to the boat. The two untied the anchor to mark the spot they were at, and they headed into shore to Miami and let the authorities know. The authorities had then launched a helicopter boat search that day, and they found nothing the whole day. And then the next morning, the Miami Moray Dive Club sent 23 of their people. 23 of their people volunteered themselves and went out diving in the water to look for Mr. Dandridge. They ended up finding the anchor. A little ways away from the anchor, they found a pocket of coral that was about 3 to 6 feet high. The opening in the middle of the coral was about 5 by 9, and in the middle of that coral, without any of the coral being broken, was Mr. Dandridge's body. So it doesn't sound like he even touched a coral on the way down. He was missing his right arm at the shoulder, and then his left flank from shoulder to hip was gone. It just ate his whole left side. Going to put this down as an attack and a predation. I think the only thing that kept him from doing anything worse was that it fell into that high pocket of coral, and that's how we're going to mark this down for William Dandridge. Okay, now we head over to South Carolina, back to Folly Beach. The date is September 11th, 2005. Greg Norton Jr. is 18 years old, and he's out doing some surfing. He's out about 200 feet from shore. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he disappears. Nobody at that time said they saw anything. A witness had said that they saw a couple of fins in the area, but they didn't see the shark get them. The next day there was a gentleman swimming on the beach, and he said that he had talked to a friend of Greg's, and that friend said that a man was taken by a shark and that he had witnessed the shark take him. So somebody might have seen the shark grab him from the board. But you're talking a pretty busy beach. It doesn't say how many people were there, but he's out there swimming, surfing with others. You'd think people are in the water swimming and everything, and these ones where a shark gets in there and gets out without being seen, and maybe seen by one person, that's kind of creepy. You know, they're big sharks, and this sounds like it's probably a pretty large shark. There was no damage to his board. So it might have just grabbed him by the legs when he was, waiting for the water, but it didn't grab his board. They didn't find any damage to that, which is a little bit unusual. They never did find his remains, and that's going to go down as an attack and a predation. Okay, now we're going to head over to Chinsta, which is Eastern Cape Province, South Africa. The date is April 13th, 2021. Robert Fraustein. He's 38 years old, and he's out doing some bodyboarding. About 11 o'clock in the morning, he just disappears. He was there 1 minute and he's gone the next. Just kind of similar to the story we just covered. They did recover his board, and his board had bite marks in it. They said the bite marks appeared to be of a shark, and that they were going to investigate it and look into it to see what kind of shark it is. This is 2021. I don't think that we'll ever... I highly doubt they go back and bring this stuff back up. Back in the day, there used to be like update stories on these, but you don't see them anymore. They don't even tell you what they know at the time, let alone update it. So that's probably all we're going to get on Robert Fraustein, just a attack and a predation. Okay, now we're going to head over to Piedade Beach, which is Recife, Brazil. The date is October 14th, 2002. Luiz de Arruda, he's 36 years old. He and two of his stepchildren are out and they're swimming. They're about 60 feet from shore, and it's late in the afternoon, and Arruda's there with his 14-year-old son and 10-year-old daughter, real close by, and all of a sudden a shark surfaces and grabs him. Didn't touch the kids, luckily. Grabs onto Arruda. The lifeguards see him waving his hands, and before they can get out to get him, that shark grabbed him and dragged him out to the deeper waters. They ended up not finding him, but they found viscera on a beach across from there. So they were going ahead and they were going to test that, and they were going to look into it to see if that was actually him or not. But it sounds like that he ran into, you know, a large bull, tiger, or great white. Any of them could have done what happened to him. It's definitely an attack and a predation. Okay, now we're going to finish out our unprovoked attacks over in Emerald Beach, which is New South Wales, Australia. The date, September 5th, 2021. Timothy Thompson, 31 years old, he's out doing some surfing. Gets about 10:30 in the morning and he starts screaming for help. Many people that are in the water start heading over to him to help. A couple of them had mentioned the extreme look of horror in his eyes as they were going over there. He was terrified, and I would be too. They got over there to him. They're very brave. Got over to him, get him up on shore, but there was nothing he could do. Some sites say that, you know, he was bit in the shoulder and in the arm and in the chest. Well, what I see is he had his right arm removed at the shoulder, and he had massive wounds to his back. Some of the sites do say that he bled out and that the paramedics said he had massive wounds to his upper body, but it's not hard to find out what those wounds were. I don't know why they don't go ahead and do that. They're supposed to be involved in looking into shark attacks, but you know, that's neither here nor there. He ended up passing away. It's an attack. I'm going to put it down as an attempt to predate. I think all those people coming over to help him stopped whatever was going on. Probably a bull shark or a white shark. They don't know what it was. Could be a tiger shark. A bull shark would have probably tried to drag him off though, so the fact that he just sat there, it makes me think it's one of the other two, but I'm not going to put it down as a shark. I'm just going to put it down as an attack and an attempt to predate. Okay, now we're going to finish out our show with what you been eating, shark. 1904, a shark was caught over in Honolulu, Hawaii, and it was opened up, and it was found, it was a tiger shark. It was found with almost the entire intact body, half a body of a man and his head. I believe his head was in there too. I don't think his torso was inside the shark. They found the lower half from the waist down, except for one leg, was all intact. And then I believe his head was inside of the shark. And this gentleman was attacked a day or two prior, and this is in the files. It's a 1904 attack on, he's an unknown male. Still an unknown male, I think, but at least they know what happened to him now because they found him inside that shark. So that's what the shark's been eating. Just want to go through and say one thing. We talk about, you know, sharks and thinking a lot, and I say I don't think for sharks a lot. Well, a couple things I want to get into. I want to touch on this manatee that's been bitten, because they don't get bitten. They try to find where, you know, they're eating them when they're alive, but they don't do it. And this one's the only one I know of where they've seen a manatee with shark teeth in it, that it's been bitten, it's alive. So you got to wonder what a shark was thinking. Well, I think I got it with this one. That was a double dog there. There's nothing else that would have had a shark, and that shark's probably a little slow anyway, and his buddies were like picking on him, saying there's no way you'd go over there and bite that sea cow. And he finally does, and he goes and bites it, and they told him double dog there, and he says, all right, I'll bite it. And they said, well, you can't just sink your teeth in like a test bite on a human. You need to take a chunk out of it, or you need to bite it twice. And he was like, no. And they said triple dog dare. So he went over and sunk his teeth in it twice. I bet that's what happened with that shark. Now, one other thing about sharks, all these videos where you see these great whites, big great whites, they're sitting there obviously observing people on kayaks, people doing whatever in the water, but they're close by. You can tell the shark can see those people and is interested in what they're doing. Usually nothing happens. Most of the time nothing's going to happen, but here's the problem I have. And I shared that thing with that comedian last night because me and him are in the same mindset. I think he believes being in that ocean is dangerous too. Just being is dangerous from what can happen. I think we're in the same mindset on that. And the thing is when I see any video, you know, these drone videos of that shark just sitting there behind that, regardless whether that shark attacks that person or those people or not. Those people, every time you look at that video, no matter which one it is, the people that shark is paying attention to, how their day, weeks, months, or maybe life goes is now dependent on the choice of a fish that they don't even know is sitting there looking at them. That is what is happening. You can spin it all you like, oh, nothing happened. Well, that's because the shark decided not to. Right at that point, you just put your life in the choice of what a shark decides it wants to do. Not a good place to be, in my opinion. So that's our show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope if you did, you click like. I hope to see you in a few more days with another set of attacks. And until then, if you go in that water, you are much more afraid of those sharks than they are of you.